Welcome to AppleKnows channel. My name is Apple, and today I am going to tell you something that will likely stay in your head long after you hear it. We are diving into the world of insects, a place so bizarre and unbelievable that even seasoned scientists still get surprised. The truth is, insects are stranger than fiction, and the more you know, the more unreal it feels. Let me guide you through facts that sound almost impossible, yet they are absolutely true. Did you know there are ants that can explode themselves? They are called kamikaze ants from Borneo. When threatened, these ants literally rupture their own bodies, releasing a sticky toxic substance that immobilizes their enemies. It is a self-sacrifice system built into their biology, and no other creatures on Earth do something this extreme on such a regular basis. And here is another one. The jewel wasp has a horrifying yet fascinating strategy. When it finds a cockroach, it injects venom straight into its brain, disabling its ability to move freely but keeping it alive. Then the wasp leads the zombie-like cockroach into its burrow, lays an egg on it, and seals the entrance. The cockroach remains alive but paralyzed while the larva feeds on it from the inside, carefully avoiding the vital organs until the very last moment. This is real, not science fiction. Now imagine a beetle that can create explosions inside its own body. The bombardier beetle is capable of shooting boiling hot, toxic chemicals out of its rear as a defense mechanism. The spray reaches up to 100 degrees Celsius and comes with an audible pop. The beetle is so advanced in its chemistry that engineers have studied it to inspire new technology in defense and propulsion systems. Let's talk about the dragonfly. It is not just a beautiful insect, it is an apex predator in its tiny world. Its hunting success rate is around 95%. Which is higher than lions, sharks, or wolves. Dragonflies can track moving prey with astonishing precision and adjust their flight midair in ways that aircraft designers dream of copying. Their eyes are so powerful they can see almost every angle around them simultaneously. But one of the strangest facts comes from cicadas. Some species live underground for 13 or 17 years before they emerge. They spend nearly 2 decades hidden, then suddenly billions of them rise at once, filling forests with deafening noise and covering every surface. No other insect has such a bizarre cycle, and yet they have been doing this for millions of years, perfectly timed and synchronized. Then there are cockroaches, and I promise this one will disturb you. A cockroach can live for weeks without its head. It does not need the head to breathe, because air enters directly through holes in its body. It eventually dies not because it is headless, but because without a mouth it cannot drink water. Nature gave them resilience on a level we can barely comprehend. And let me share something about butterflies. They taste with their feet. The moment they land on a plant, sensors on their feet instantly tell them if the surface is edible or not. Imagine walking barefoot and immediately knowing the flavor of the ground beneath you. One more thing that sounds like science fiction but is completely real. There is a species of insect, the midge, that can survive complete decapitation and still manage to live for days. And then we have the water boatman insect, tiny and unassuming, but it produces the loudest sound relative to its body size of any creature on Earth. It sings underwater by rubbing its penis against its abdomen, creating sounds so loud that if scaled to human size it would be louder than a jet engine. This is just scratching the surface of the insect world. Every time you think you've heard the weirdest fact, another one comes along that is even harder to believe. Let's start with the Hercules beetle. This creature can lift up to 850 times its own body weight. If a human had the same ability, you could carry a fully loaded airplane on your back. Engineers are fascinated by this because the beetle's strength is not just raw muscle, it is a combination of body structure, leverage, and evolution's perfect design for power. Now consider the assassin bug. It uses a method so brutal that it feels like a horror movie. After killing its prey, it sucks the victim's insides out until only an empty shell remains. But here's the shocking twist, the assassin bug sometimes wears the corpses of its victims as camouflage. Imagine a tiny predator walking around covered in the dead bodies of its meals. This is not imagination, it is standard behavior in the insect world. And termites, often underestimated, are absolute masters of architecture. Their mounds can rise higher than a 2-story house and are built with such advanced ventilation systems that they maintain stable temperatures inside even in extreme climates. Human architects have studied termite mounds to design sustainable buildings with natural air conditioning. Let's not forget the African driver ants. When they move, they march in massive armies of millions, devouring everything in their path. Small animals, reptiles, even birds are not safe. Villagers in some regions have to abandon their homes when the ants arrive, because nothing living that gets in their way survives. Their collective strength is so powerful that they can strip flesh from bone within hours. Another mind-bending fact: there is a species of fly called the tsetse fly that gives birth to live young instead of laying eggs. Inside the mother's body, the larva is nourished with a special milk-like fluid until it is ready to emerge. It's an insect version of mammalian birth, which is extremely rare in the insect world. And here's something that will really test your sense of reality. Male honeybees, called drones, die in the act of mating. During reproduction, part of their abdomen literally tears off, killing them instantly after fertilization. Their entire life is focused on that single event, and once it happens, their role is over forever. Another unbelievable but true fact involves the leafcutter ants. They are the farmers of the insect kingdom. These ants cut leaves not to eat them directly, but to use as fertilizer for underground fungus gardens. They cultivate the fungus as their main food source, protecting it from disease and pests with chemical antibiotics. This is advanced agriculture, something humans only figured out thousands of years after ants had already mastered it. And think about the mayfly. It spends almost its entire life as a larva underwater, sometimes for years, only to emerge as an adult for a single day. In that one day, its only purpose is to mate and reproduce before it dies. It is a life designed for one brief moment. Let's begin with the giraffe weevil from Madagascar. Its neck is almost 3 times the length of its body, and males use it to fight each other for mates, almost like tiny sword duels. The long neck also helps them build intricate nests from leaves. If you ever thought bizarre body proportions belonged only to cartoons, this insect proves nature has already tried them out. Now, let's move to the Australian tiger beetle. This insect is considered the fastest runner in the insect world, capable of sprinting at such speed that it actually blinds itself temporarily while moving. Its eyes cannot process the images fast enough, so it runs in bursts, pausing to reorient itself before dashing again. Imagine moving so fast your brain cannot keep up. That's reality for this beetle. Another shocking fact: some species of ants keep other insects as slaves. Slave-making ants raid colonies of other ants, steal their larvae, and raise them as their own workers. These enslaved ants spend their lives serving their captors, completely unaware of their true origin. It is a brutal and disturbingly organized form of insect warfare and domination. Then there are lanternflies, brightly patterned insects that look harmless, but when threatened, they spread their wings to reveal sudden flashes of color, scaring off predators. But here is the strange part: they sometimes squirt jets of sticky liquid from their bodies as a defense. Scientists studying them discovered they can also catapult waste with such force that it is proportionally like a human shooting feces several meters away. And if you think you've heard strange, the fairy fly will push your limits. Despite its name, it's not a fly at all, it's a wasp, and one of the smallest insects on Earth. Some species are so tiny that they can pass through the eye of a needle with room to spare. They lay their eggs inside the eggs of other insects, continuing the endless cycle of parasitism that dominates much of insect life. Another insect that defies belief is the treehopper. It grows bizarre structures on its back that mimic thorns, leaves, or even the appearance of ants. Some species have shapes so strange that scientists once mistook them for fungi or plant growths. They are the ultimate masters of disguise, evolving body parts that don't even look like body parts anymore. Let's not forget about glowworms and fireflies. These insects can produce light without heat, a phenomenon called bioluminescence. The chemical reaction inside their bodies is so efficient that nearly 100% of the energy is converted into light. By comparison, a normal light bulb wastes most of its energy as heat. That means an insect has better technology for producing light than we do. And here's something that will make you rethink the idea of pain. The bullet ant, found in South America, delivers the most painful sting of any insect. Victims describe the sensation as being shot with a bullet, and the pain can last for 24 hours of pure agony. Some tribes even use the sting in initiation rituals, forcing young men to endure dozens of bites to prove their strength. Let's begin with something that sounds straight out of science fiction: the parasitic fungus Ophiocordyceps, also known as the zombie ant fungus. It infects ants, takes control of their nervous system, and forces them to climb vegetation before killing them. The fungus then sprouts from the dead ant's body and spreads spores to infect others. This is not imagination, it's a fungus turning an insect into a living puppet. Now let's talk about stick insects. Some species can regenerate lost limbs after molting. Imagine if humans could regrow a missing arm by simply shedding skin. It's the kind of ability that science fiction dreams of, yet for these insects it's just biology. Then we have the whirligig beetle, a strange creature with split eyes. Half of its eyes look above the water's surface, and the other half look below at the same time. This dual vision allows it to detect danger in two different worlds simultaneously: air and water. It's a built-in 360-degree security system. Another shocking insect fact comes from the dung beetle. These beetles can navigate using the Milky Way galaxy. They climb onto their ball of dung, scan the night sky, and use the stars to roll in a perfectly straight line, avoiding obstacles and competition. They are the only known insects to rely on the stars for orientation, something even many animals cannot do. And then there are mantis shrimps, although not insects, but crustaceans. They deserve mention here because they often get compared. Their eyes are so advanced they can see ultraviolet light and polarized light, something humans can't even imagine perceiving. Insects like butterflies and bees share a fraction of this ability, detecting ultraviolet patterns on flowers invisible to us, guiding them directly to nectar. To an insect, the world is painted in colors we will never truly see. Another bizarre one: there is a type of wasp called the tarantula hawk. Despite its beautiful metallic blue wings and orange body, it is one of the most terrifying hunters. It stings a tarantula with venom so powerful it paralyzes the giant spider instantly. Then it drags the spider into a burrow and lays an egg on it, leaving the spider alive but immobile as fresh food for its young. Scientists rank its sting as one of the most excruciating in the insect kingdom, second only to the bullet ant. Let's not forget about katydids. Some species can produce sounds so loud that in groups they create an almost deafening chorus at night. Their ears are located not on their heads, but on their legs, which allow them to detect vibrations with extreme precision. Imagine hearing through your knees. That's daily life for these insects. And here's something even stranger: water striders can literally walk on water. Their legs are covered with microscopic hairs that trap air, allowing them to stay afloat and sprint across the surface without breaking it. Engineers study this ability to create robots that can glide over water the way insects do naturally. One more fact that shows how extreme insects can be: some desert ants can withstand the highest body temperatures of any animal on Earth. They forage in environments so hot that other creatures would die within minutes. Their strategy is simple: they move fast, grab what they need, and return underground before their bodies cook. Every insect seems to carry a secret that challenges the limits of survival, and every fact feels like it belongs in a different universe. Yet it all happens right here, around us, hidden in plain sight. Let's begin with fire ants. When floods happen, instead of drowning, they link their bodies together to form living rafts. Millions of ants cling to one another, floating for weeks until they find dry land. They can even form bridges and towers out of their own bodies, living architecture that shifts and adapts in real time. Humans build boats, ants become them. Now consider the horsefly. It has one of the fastest wingbeat speeds in the insect world, and it can see movement faster than our eyes can process. Imagine watching life in slow motion. That's what these flies experience naturally. Their eyes are covered in thousands of lenses, giving them vision so sharp that scientists struggle to replicate it in cameras. Then we have the gypsy moth caterpillar, an insect that parachutes through the air using silk threads. When the wind is right, they release a strand of silk and literally float like tiny paratroopers. Some species of spiders do something similar, but the caterpillars rely on this strategy to colonize new areas, drifting like balloons carried by the sky. Another insect that bends reality is the spittlebug, also called the froghopper. This tiny creature can jump higher relative to its body size than any other known animal. If a human had the same ability, you could leap over a skyscraper in a single bound. Scientists discovered that it uses special leg mechanisms that store and release energy like springs, launching it into the air with explosive power. And let's not forget the giant weta of New Zealand. This insect is so large it can weigh as much as a small bird. They are considered living fossils, descendants of ancient insects that roamed the earth millions of years ago. Despite their monstrous size, they are mostly gentle, feeding on leaves and plants. Now here's something eerie: the gall wasp manipulates plants to grow strange structures called galls, which act as both shelter and food for their larvae. It's as if the insect reprograms the plant's DNA, forcing it to build a custom-made house. This is bioengineering on a scale nature perfected long before humans even dreamed of genetic modification. Another jaw-dropping insect is the Hercules moth, one of the largest moths in the world. With wingspans stretching over 27 centimeters, they are so big that people often mistake them for birds. And yet, despite their massive size, adult Hercules moths do not eat at all. They live only a few days, their sole purpose being reproduction before their energy runs out. And we cannot skip the robber fly. These aerial assassins catch other insects mid-flight with brutal precision. They inject their prey with digestive enzymes, turning the inside of their victims into liquid before sucking it out. They don't just kill, they dissolve their food on the spot. Lastly, let's look at the plant hopper nymph. This insect has gears in its legs, real biological gears. The gears lock together when it jumps, ensuring both legs push off at the exact same moment, giving it perfect synchronization. Humans invented gears for machines, but insects had them millions of years earlier. The deeper we go, the more obvious it becomes: insects are living examples of extreme survival, hidden technology, and evolutionary brilliance. What we see as tiny crawling things are in fact some of the most advanced survivors on the planet. Let's begin with the giant water bug. This predator lives in ponds and slow streams, and it feeds on fish, amphibians, and even young turtles. It stabs its prey with a sharp beak, injects digestive saliva, and then sucks out the liquefied insides. But here's the part that flips expectations: in many species, the male carries the eggs. The female glues her eggs to his back, and he protects and oxygenates them until they hatch. Now let's talk about army ants. These insects do not build permanent nests. Instead, their colony itself becomes the nest. Millions of ants interlock their bodies into a massive structure called a bivouac, creating chambers, tunnels, and protective walls entirely out of living ants. Every day, the colony shifts location, dismantling and rebuilding itself like a mobile city of flesh. Another incredible fact comes from the cicada killer wasp. It hunts cicadas by paralyzing them and then burying them alive underground. The wasp lays an egg on the cicada, and when the larva hatches, it has fresh food waiting. What's truly shocking is the sheer size difference. The cicada killer wasp drags prey several times heavier than itself into its burrow with unstoppable determination. And then we have the Atlas moth, one of the largest insects in the world, with wings that can span almost 30 centimeters. Its wingtips resemble the heads of snakes, a perfect defense mechanism against predators. Even stranger, like other giant moths, it has no mouth in its adult form. It lives only on stored fat, surviving just long enough to reproduce before starving to death. Consider the harlequin beetle, covered in bold patterns that look like painted art. This beetle is so striking that other species actually use it as camouflage. Tiny mites cling to its body, hitching rides to new locations. They use the beetle like a bus service, traveling the rainforest canopy thanks to their unwilling host. And here's one that borders on the unbelievable: midge flies in Antarctica. These are the only insects that can survive the continent's brutal conditions. Their bodies can endure freezing, dehydration, and oxygen shortages. To survive the winter, they dry themselves out almost completely, waiting until temperatures rise before returning to activity. They are nature's ultimate freeze-dried creatures. The tree cricket deserves mention too. Males build acoustic amplifiers by chewing holes in leaves and then positioning themselves in the center. This turns the leaf into a loudspeaker, projecting their mating songs much farther than their bodies could manage alone. Humans invented speakers thousands of years later, crickets had them first. Then there's the Malaysian exploding ant relative I mentioned before, but here's another twist: some beetles also use chemical warfare. The bombardier beetle doesn't just shoot hot chemicals, it actually mixes them inside a special chamber at the moment of attack. The reaction is so violent it creates tiny explosions audible to the human ear. Nature gave it a portable chemical weapon factory. One of the strangest cases of insect endurance comes from the mummified locusts of Africa. Some species, when trapped in caves, can remain preserved for centuries without decaying. Scientists have found perfectly intact locusts that had been dead for over 200 years, their bodies so well protected that they looked alive. And finally, the stick insect's defense system. Some species don't just hide, they release a foul-smelling spray from their glands, while others play dead so convincingly that predators lose interest. Combined with their perfect camouflage, they embody the art of survival through deception. Every fact reveals another angle of how diverse and extreme insects truly are. From self-exploding bodies to biological gear systems, they are a living archive of evolution's strangest experiments. You've been with AppleKnows channel, I'm Apple, and together we've uncovered a world where insects defy everything we thought we knew about life. From ants that sacrifice themselves in explosions, to beetles that fire chemical weapons, to wasps that turn victims into living zombies, every fact proves that the insect kingdom is stranger, harsher, and more creative than anything we could imagine. And here's the truth. These creatures are all around us. They crawl under our feet, buzz past our ears, and vanish into shadows, carrying abilities that make superheroes in science fiction look small in comparison. They are survivors, engineers, predators, and builders, shaping the planet quietly for hundreds of millions of years. So next time you see a tiny insect, remember, you're not just looking at a bug. You're looking at one of evolution's masterpieces, a creature with secrets more shocking than any story ever told. This was Apple from AppleKnows channel, and if you thought these facts were unbelievable, just wait until you hear what's coming next.